Hello, this is Andrew Gunther, and welcome to the making of Godspeed Part 1. Um, I first came up with the idea for this movie over winter break. I thought it'd be cool to do something a little different visually than what I'm normally been doing in film classes and such. So I was listening to one of my favorite bands, Amber Lynn, and I heard this new song Godspeed off their album Cities, and I thought it'd be really awesome to try to do a music video to this. And I was like, well, what can I do that would be something that would be a lot different? And I thought of my movie Sin City. I thought the way that they filmed something on the green screen, they tried something new, and using all black backgrounds was really cool. So I started brainstorming about what kind of ideas I could do for this movie, and I came up with this little mini story about a guy who rescues the damsel in distress out of the tower. It wasn't very complicated or anything. It was just sort of all fun and games and trying to come up with different shots to do on the green screen stage. I wrote the storyboards in a few weeks just by listening to the song, just by trying to get a feel for what kind of shots could be at certain parts of the song. For each frame in the storyboard, I would write down the shot number, how long the shot was, and where it was taking place. I'd also use arrows and scene descriptions at the bottom, just kind of remind myself what was taking place, and hopefully the end shot would look sort of like the storyboard. The second part of the process was the filming. I filmed this movie at the green screen stage here at our school and some scenes in my sister's bedroom back in Michigan. This was the first time I had used the green screen stage, so it was very new to me. I was experimenting with a lot of different things, and it was always fun to see people try to react with the environment around them that wasn't there. You had to imagine that there was a brick wall here, or I'm climbing some stairs, and it's a very small stage, so any time there was a running shot, I couldn't really make it look as good as I wanted it to be. So it was a very big challenge.
Yep, keep it rolling.
It was very hard to keep a straight face on set because we are dealing with nothing around
I
us.
love it.
The best thing about using a green screen stage is you can crop an image or alter the size in any different way, and it really doesn't matter. You can have things like ladders and the floor in the way, and you can just crop those out in post-production. Uh, this shot was really awesome because it was just a simple shot where he's standing there, and you can move him to the side, you can move him up, alter his size, and now he's eventually standing on a mountaintop. There was one scene I had to cut, and it was a swamp sequence. I realized I couldn't make realistic water with the green screen stage, so I replaced that with the bats flying around later and all that. But overall, everything else turned out really great, and it was definitely a very fun experience that I would really like to do again. The next step was putting everything together and finding all the pictures. Every picture that you saw in the movie was from Google, the greatest place to find pictures, and each one was altered just a little bit to somewhat make it my own. I remember the first thing I had to do was make a brick wall for the background, so I used one brick wall and made four brick walls out of it, and then I found a floor that was very different in color. It had a white contrast, and then I put those two together, and that was the same wall that I used throughout the whole movie, and I thought that it looked really good when the black would contrast with the white. Here's a small scene from the movie from its earliest stages to the end. As you can see, first stages look pretty bad once the green is taken out, but after a while, once you add the black and white, it really makes it look a lot better. As you can see, there's some things like a hole in his head that eventually had to be taken care of, but you wouldn't find out unless the background was there. I also added a lantern here because I felt that it was a little dull with just the brick wall there, but overall the end result was pretty good considering it was all shot on a green screen stage. Some things didn't disappear right away, and the only way to get rid of that was to crop little squares from the background and then put that over top of the area that did disappear, but overall, I didn't have to do that very much, so it wasn't that big of a problem. The next part of the process was adding all the computer effects. I use this simple program called Bryce to do all the pan shots and the landscapes with a computer, and then I match those with the actual green screen shots. This shot here was probably the hardest because it involved a lot of different layers, including still images, stuff I filmed on the green screen, and stuff that was in Bryce. So as you can see here, here are all the layers that were put together to form this one shot in its raw form. I was a little nervous at first because I wasn't sure if this was going to turn out. There was a camera bump in this next little shot here, but it turned out alright, and I just added a layer of a still image of the castle over top of the original scene, and it ended up looking alright. This next shot here is with the shadow of Ben running in to the building. I just made the shadow by copying his original image and then opaquing it. The next shot here was pretty tricky because I had to make it look like Chris was being thrown out the window. So that layer was actually in front of the castle when usually it would be behind. And what I ended up having to do was I had to crop both sides to make his leg and Ben's head not, flying out of the castle like it was in that original shot. So I just used those two still images and then put them over top, and that's what ended up blocking off those two body parts to make it look like he was being thrown out. The last sequence I worked on was the bats here. I used the same bat for almost all the same shots. Because I made it all black, you couldn't really tell it was the same bat. I then would move its wings in 3 different positions, and that way it would look like it would be flying across the screen, when really it's just a still image of the same bat over and over again. Each shot was done individually, so I had a big library of all the shots, and then I would put them all together to the music in one final project. And that part didn't really take as long as the other parts because I already had all the shots done. And overall, I really had a great time filming this movie. I learned a ton because I had never, used a green screen or something like this before, and it's something I would definitely want to do again.